And welcome into the Wednesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody's off to a fabulous start this morning. Joe Rexrode, how we doing? What's going on?
Doing fine. A little bit tired because last night was an absolutely fantastic night of college basketball. Not a great night for college football, but a great night for college basketball on the television. Tough loss for the Vols. Tough loss for the Vols.
Wasn't that great of a night.
They're fine.
Lost.
They're fine. But, we had UConn, Kansas. We had Carolina, Kentucky, Michigan State, Iowa. I mean, we had some bangers out there, man. Good night. I mean, I think college basketball is doing a really good job. We should talk more about it. But, I mean, they're doing a good job of, having a lot of good games. We got a couple big ones at Bridgestone this weekend.
We should talk more about it.
We should. All the time. It should become a college basketball show.
Maybe so. I mean, not a good night for your Dubs. They lost to Oklahoma City, who, by the way, is
I didn't even notice.
21-1.
Yeah.
The Thunder.
Well, is it close?
They lost by 12.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dubs are, it's one, they're on the other side. It's just reality. It just hasn't worked out. Their role players haven't been what they hoped. And also, God, I really hope we're not looking. Are we looking at 3-4 years in a row of Oklahoma City winning it all?
I think we might be.
It bores me. It bores me to think about that. Tell me someone can knock them out. I don't want to sit here every year and watch them win it all.
Well, right now they're on pace to go 78-4.
Yeah. They're like the Warriors of how long ago would that have been? About
2016?
About 8 years ago. Yeah, 9 years ago. Yeah.
21-1.
Which they didn't win it
They
all,
did
by
not.
the way. So, maybe there's hope in that.
Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Yeah, basketball has been good, but they've been doing such a good job that I didn't even realize the ACC SEC challenge was starting last night.
I forgot it was a thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, they do an ACC SEC challenge now.
And I was like, I wish I would have known that was going on. I probably would have turned it on. But I didn't realize it until the first intermission of the Preds game.
ACC's already done way better than last year.
I
think
saw
last
that.
year it was
whatever.
14-2
or something like that. Yeah.
14-2. Yeah.
And I think they already have 7.
Yeah,
maybe
the SEC is very good this year again. Look at how much
I
basketball
watched
talk
a little
we're getting.
bit the end of the
But not
orange
great.
on orange basketball game there. Missed layup by Carey.
Well, just
to
imagine.
tie.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean,
Yeah.
just imagine the idea of a Syracuse student body rushing the floor for a win over Tennessee in basketball.
Yeah, think about that
5
years ago.
Yeah, even 5 years ago. It's like, what? Just shows you shows you what the Reverend Rick Barnes can do.
I didn't make it up through Kentucky, North Carolina. How'd that one close out?
I fell asleep at the under 8.
Yeah. I made it. Yeah.
I really wanted to, because Dickie V was doing the call. Man, he's still got it, man.
North Carolina, road win.
Yeah.
67-64.
Okay.
I'm sure Kentucky fans will be real rational about that one, too.
I'm sure.
It'll be good.
They're coming in here Friday.
We'll
see them Friday.
They are. I'm kind of disappointed in Rick Barnes for not wearing orange against the orange. Go out there with the black jersey. No. You wear the orange against the orange.
Yeah, they
shove
were
it to him.
They were in the blacks.
Yep.
He needs to get himself like a sweet orange jacket,
I agree. I mean, Bruce Pearl is, I guess, retired now, and maybe he can give Rick Barnes some fashion advice moving forward.
Yeah. That's what you want to do is take advice from Bruce Pearl.
Yeah.
Chase from White Bluff. Is this true? He says OKC has 3 firsts this year. The Clippers.
I know they have a lot.
Yeah, probably.
God, great.
So I'm sure that'll go well.
Yeah.
A big night for the Preds last night. They get the win against the Calgary Flames, 5-1. There hadn't been a whole lot of good things to talk about with the Predators this year. Last night, there was a lot. Stamkos picking up point number 1,200. He's just the 53rd player in the history of the league to reach that number. So a cool milestone for him. Last night, he's now 11 goals away from 600 in his career. Ozzy Weisblatt scores his first goal last night. Reed Schaefer, his first goal last night. Clark Lee and Diego Pavia in the building last night as well. So a lot of stuff going on at the Preds game last night.
Did Clark Lee and or Diego Pavia slam a beer when the camera went on there? Did they
I
do
did
the
not
Taylor Lewan?
see. No, I mean Clark Lee definitely did not. Now Pavia, when I saw him on the jumbotron, was just like being hounded by people trying to take photos and all that stuff, and they showed him taking photos on like the Flames TV broadcast, and he was doing the Heisman pose with people. And I was like, there you go, there you go, Pavia down there. He's having fun.
That's awesome.
So a lot of stuff going on last night at the Preds game.
I'm glad that they were able to have a diversion from them getting screwed over.
Well, they did not seem that they were overly concerned about it at the Preds game last night.
What are you going to do, man?
Nothing you can do. It's out of your hands at that point. Well, let's get to it. We said yesterday, Joe, that we would most likely discover Vanderbilt's fate last night in the college football playoff rankings. And kind of the vibe heading into it was probably wasn't going to work out all that well for Vanderbilt. And now I think we know. I mean, they're not even the second team out. So to think that they're going to, in 1 week's time, having not played a game in a conference championship game, go from out of the college football playoff to in the college football playoff, it ain't happening. So it's a tough way to end this thing for Vanderbilt. They're going to end up in, I would assume, a really good bowl game, but does not look like there's going to be a college football playoff appearance for Vanderbilt this year.
No.
And
look, we've gone through, and I know Vanderbilt fans want to vent today. That's fine. You got to be somewhat realistic on some of the things that are just bad luck. But at the same time, if you're mad at this committee, I don't blame you, because the committee does stuff like, Vanderbilt wins 45-24 at Tennessee. Tennessee's number 19. Let's drop Tennessee the hell off the face of the earth. That way, we don't have to even worry about Vanderbilt. We can say, well, unfortunately, Hunter Yurachek last night, Aria asked him on a teleconference, unfortunately, they don't have any ranked wins. So I followed up, and I'm like, so how is it that Tennessee gets penalized that badly, and then Vanderbilt gets no reward for that game? And his answer, like, I couldn't even tell you. I could read it to you, but it's just okay. He didn't talk about the Tennessee part of it. He talked about, Texas and this and that. So
he's an idiot.
I mean, it's the whole thing is, I think this is the worst year of explanations. We've had two different people. We've had Mac Rhodes. Now we have Hunter Yurachek.
It's bad.
And it really is like to take it away from Vanderbilt for a minute. Last night, I mean, the Alabama thing, of course, they move Alabama up, right, for their 27-20 win over, which, again, he says rivalry game on the road, all that stuff. They had the guts to go for it on 4th and 2. Like, what? So, again, 2 weeks ago, when you were explaining why Vanderbilt's where they are, you were told it's because they were in a close game with Auburn.
Yeah.
You just gave credit for a team on the road in a rivalry game, which Vanderbilt was on the road in a rivalry game. I mean, you're just contradicting yourself left and right to try to justify, these selections. And they're not going to stop doing the TV show. They're going to keep doing the TV show because everybody says this every year. It's almost like let's get rid of preseason rankings. No, that should never happen. Stop talking about it. It never will happen. It never should happen. Now, this I would agree should happen. They should just do like the basketball and says, here's like a glimpse of it, 6 weeks ago, a month ago. Here's a glimpse. And then we'll see at the end.
Yeah.
But they will not. They will do the TV show, so they will look stupid. It's guaranteed. And they look very stupid now. And also, they look like they are setting up this whole thing where they might actually have Miami and Notre Dame right next to each other, and then Notre Dame, which I think a lot of people would enjoy, but Notre Dame gets screwed at the very end, and Miami finally gets the credit for the head-to-head. Either way, outrage is guaranteed.
Well, again, every time either Hunter Yurachek or really, I mean, look, it's not just him. Anybody who's been the spokesman for the College Football Playoff Committee over the last decade that they've been doing this stuff, whether it's 14, 12-team, whatever, they just talk themselves in circles because it's a TV show every week. And it's an inevitability that at some point, probably on a weekly basis, they're going to contradict themselves. And that's what they do with this stuff. And they did it again last night. I mean, I think sometimes they'd be better off just not saying anything. They'd be better off just not saying a word. But, of course, they're not going to do that. So, if you're a Vanderbilt fan and it's upset today, I totally understand it. I know a lot of Vanderbilt fans, in addition to being upset, Joe, that they didn't make the playoff, are upset that Texas is ahead of them in the rankings at number 13 as well. And we talked about that earlier in the week. Like, I thought that was going to be a strong possibility. And look, I think you can make an argument on behalf of Texas
Yeah.
that should be the case.
You can.
So, like, that's the thing with the Vanderbilt part of this. You can make certainly an argument for Vanderbilt to be in the college football playoff. I also think you can make pretty significant counter arguments as well for the teams in front of them that are in front of them.
Yeah, no, you absolutely can. I did a thing last night where like, let's take metrics only, okay? And let's take eyeball test only because they're blending them. So if you go metrics only, which is like strength of record, all that stuff, there are teams that are ahead of them. Like metrics only, they are absolutely ahead of Notre Dame. There's no question they are ahead of Notre Dame. If you go strength of record, if you go strength of schedule, all that stuff. I mean, Vanderbilt's strength of schedule is 16. Strength of record is 11, right? So, but at the same time, by those, Texas to me is still above it because again, A&M, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt are their wins. Ohio State's lost. Yes, the bad loss at Florida. I totally agree. I agree with people. Ryan on the text line saying compare them to Notre Dame. They are better than Notre Dame. They absolutely have a better resume by the metrics than Notre Dame. Also, I think Texas has a slightly better resume than them. So now if you go eyeball test, to me, Notre Dame's way up there. But also Vanderbilt, to me, should be way up there, and they're not.
Right.
And that is where I think they get a little bit screwed with the helmet scouting. I think that's most of it, like if you can't do the eyeball test and watch them and say that team's good enough, then I don't think you're doing your homework.
Yeah.
But again, how much is the eyeball test? How much is the metrics? If the metrics strictly, to me, they're 12th, which is not in the field. You have to be in the top 10.
Vanderbilt not going to be in the college football playoff. We'll take your reaction to the rankings last night, which has Vanderbilt at number 14 with BYU, Miami, and Texas, the three teams that are directly in front of them. We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
We're here because we've got a really good football team here. And this is not about narratives and stories. It's about the facts and the data that support a really good football program. And, it's my responsibility to make that case and to make sure that I'm fighting for a team that I believe deeply in. And I believe with every strand of my being deserves a chance to compete for a national championship. I think it's the best thing for college football. I think this group of players and staff have worked really hard to put an exciting product on the field, one that's energized our Nashville community, our Vanderbilt community, but the potential for this goes way beyond that. And, the merits of the case are about strength of record. The ESPN Football Power Index has us ranked 11th in terms of the strength of record. It's about strength of schedule of the teams that are ranked ahead of us. Only 4 have a higher strength of schedule ranking.
That was Clark Lee earlier in the week. They tried. They put the blitz on yesterday, and it did not work with the College Football Playoff Committee.
Texas is doing it too.
Yep.
And I assume, the teams that were in a better position. I mean, I don't know. Utah, I'm sure they're out there. They got some. Vanderbilt put out a good two-page sheet making the case. Some very good stuff in there. Some other stuff that's like the win over South Carolina. Like that's just bad luck. I understand what they were ranked when you played them. This is just reality is they just bottomed out and screwed you over. You know what I mean? So there's some stuff in there where it's that's great, but all these teams probably have some games where they were this when we beat them, but then they end up 4-8, so no one cares. I mean, that's just one of those things that's part of the deal. Then Clark Lee had a Zoom teleconference yesterday.
Yeah.
Press conference on Zoom, which I assume would be heavily attended. It was me and Chris Lowe.
That's it?
Me and Chris Lowe.
That's it?
I got to say, I got to call out people who cover Vanderbilt because I understand, y'all went to the Monday presser. So I'm you probably expect them to say a lot of the same stuff. But if you cover Vanderbilt as a beat, how are you not on that thing? CeeLo and I'm okay, well, Chris, go ahead. Well, I'll ask one now. We just had a great conversation. He had his sweet two-turn hat on.
I saw that.
I mean, they got into Chris Lowe got into some gathering for some stories he's doing later, for the off season. It's okay.
He should have invited you both to the Preds game last night. By God.
Serious. I would have slammed a beer.
Man.
But look, they made a good case, and it's just, it's unfortunate. I mean, to me, it's just, as I've said, I think the eyeball test is where I just think that the committee, it just didn't give them enough credit. How you play at the end of the year should matter. And this is where, again, even Texas getting that win, like I just said, I think their resume is a little bit better than Vanderbilt. However, they're also incredibly erratic, and they got just destroyed by Georgia the week before that. Alabama's not playing well right now. Some of these teams are kind of wobbly, kind of don't know what you're going to get. Vanderbilt, in the month of November, took off, and especially with their offense, that's what stinks about this. Not just for the Vanderbilt fan, and I guess the general college football fan probably doesn't know what they're missing because they're just I'm not going to watch Vanderbilt. But it sucks because we're going to watch Oklahoma in this thing. I also can't make the case for Vanderbilt to be over Oklahoma. I mean, that's, it's unfortunate, but they got those freaking wins one way or the other. They got those wins at Alabama and at Tennessee. Oh, I'm sorry. At Tennessee doesn't matter though. When they get it, they take a huge jump in the rankings. When Vanderbilt gets it, Tennessee just goes, get the hell out of here. You're out of here, Tennessee. You stink.
Tennessee, I'd love to know. They should rank them all the way through 100. Where they got Tennessee now? We got Tennessee dropped from 19th to 78th in the college football playoff rankings.
I mean, that's where Vanderbilt fans have beef for sure, is any team that loses to Vanderbilt this year, it's oh, my God, you lost to Vanderbilt, and then they just plummet. And it's at some point, Vanderbilt's good, guys. Can we get there? Well, maybe next year. Now, everybody has respect for Indiana now. Maybe next year Vanderbilt gets respect. I don't know.
So. Well, I threw the idea out there, and, others joined in this party as this saga was going on. What's going to happen with Ole Miss and their seeding with Lane Kiffin gone? Apparently nothing. They're at 6, which is about where I thought they'd be. So I guess
they went up a spot.
Yeah. I guess they're I guess they're going to be fine.
I guess the
Without
committee's
Lane
like,
Kiffin.
oh, you got rid of that clown? Good for you.
Good job, guys. We'll move you up.
They did. I mean, it was good for them. Like Charlie Weiss Jr. is coming back to call plays. I mean, did that affect that? Or I don't know. But like they're some of the assistants are coming back other than not him. Lane's got to go down there and work on his Ed O impersonation. But yeah, that was interesting. Like I said, they are setting up this situation with Bama and Miami, and they are protecting. I'm sorry, Notre Dame, Miami, and they protected Alabama with this. They moved them up a spot, so now Bama, to me, I think is safe. Now, I guess if they get blown out, if they get blown out by Georgia, who knows? But I think that move up cushions them.
Well, and regardless, I'm with you. I think it does too. But even if it doesn't, I don't like Vanderbilt's going to be the beneficiary at that point.
Oh, Vanderbilt's out.
Yeah, I mean they're just done.
Vanderbilt's done. Texas is done. Utah's done. I mean, at least, hey, they did put Vanderbilt over Utah. I give them that. Or they put Utah behind Vanderbilt. I'm sorry, they didn't move Vanderbilt, but Utah at least moved down. So there you go.
There is that
solace in that.
There is that. Brian on the text line says it was and still is a great season for Vanderbilt, but because of who they are in their history, they're getting screwed. If their helmets were Tennessee or Alabama or Texas with this record, they'd be in the middle of the pack. Now we're going to be stuck watching a couple of games that'll be blowouts and not enjoyable football to watch. Ed says, how would you feel, Joe, if somebody was candid enough to just say that helmet scouting plays a factor into the eval? Would it make it better or worse in your mind?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that'd be ridiculous. I mean, listen, I will say, like, to the previous texture, like, if some other team had this resume and they had a different helmet, they'd be in the middle of the pack. That's not true. Look, the problem is the number one problem. Yes, I agree that there's helmets, that there's bias that's inherent in this with human beings. There has to be. I think they should have gotten more respect. But again, like, they just don't, like, the Tennessee win should count for them, and that's a convenient thing at the end for the committee because they're just not going to move them up enough. But they don't have the wins that compare to some of these other teams. They have good losses. They're a 10-2 SEC team, and Vanderbilt's, I'm saying a lot. I get it. It's not anyone's fault. It's not helmet scouting that South Carolina's season went to trash. It's not helmet scouting that LSU season went to trash. And it's not helmet scouting that, like, Missouri should also be ranked. They could have done this or that. They got blown out by Texas A&M. They blew it at Oklahoma. So, I mean, you got to also, like, if you put Tennessee's helmet on this exact resume, I'm not sure that they would be in the field either. I do agree that definitely there's the, again, to me, the eyeball test is where this would have had to have been made up, and they didn't get enough benefit of that. But the metrics go through all the teams. Like, again, I went through it. They, to me, are 12th. The top 10 are the only ones who make it.
Yeah, because of that great system we've got right now. It's good stuff. Just handing playoff spots out.
Two group of five.
Love
if
it.
Duke wins,
thank God we
Dukes
get to
are
watch
in.
Tulane and James Madison in the
Terrible.
playoff. Love it.
That's fine.
That's
I understand.
good stuff.
Sometimes you have pain. You have to, you have to think of the greater good.
I don't care who they're playing in that game. I will be rooting for whoever it is to win by 75 points so we can start this ridiculous conversation all over again.
I mean, that's not. I mean, we can have
Go Oregon.
conversation.
Dan Lanning, put up a number. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. It wasn't all bad news for Vanderbilt yesterday. Boy, did they get a bump on the recruiting front. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Bad news for Vanderbilt last night. They don't make the college football playoff, and they are not in good position for that to change by the time the official rankings come out next week. But, Joe, it wasn't all doom and gloom for Vanderbilt yesterday. Jared Curtis, which we have been talking about for weeks on this program, it kind of felt like Vanderbilt had the momentum to get the 5-star number 1 quarterback in America to flip from Georgia to Vanderbilt. And then yesterday, it is made official. Now, it was reported yesterday morning. It was thrown out there. And then Jared Curtis took to social media and was like, yeah, I don't really know where all this stuff's coming from. I haven't talked to anybody about all this yet. So that kind of put it on hold for, I don't know, a couple hours. And then Jared Curtis came out a little bit later in the day yesterday with this lengthy statement about how he is indeed committing to Vanderbilt. He is flipping from Georgia to Vanderbilt. And, Joe, I guess as much as anything else, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, you know, as a texter pointed out earlier, look, not making the college football playoff certainly is a bummer, and you're mad about it, and it stings, and I get that, and you should be. It doesn't take away from, I mean, this is the best season in the history of Vanderbilt football. You got a 10-win season for the first time. You got a guy that is going to me, have at least a legitimate shot to win the Heisman Trophy. And now, as a result of all that, if you were looking for like tangible impact of what that means, go back like last year, 2 years ago, and say, and utter the phrase, Vanderbilt is going to beat out Georgia for the number 1 quarterback in America. And tell that to Vanderbilt fans, and what would their reaction be? Now, I realize the kid's a local kid. I get that. But as much as he's a local kid, he ain't flipping from Georgia to Vanderbilt if this season for Vanderbilt doesn't happen. That's a big deal to get Jared Curtis.
No doubt. I mean, it is. It's tell someone, you know, Vanderbilt will in the same week flip the top QB prospect in some eyes from Georgia, just miss out on the college football playoff and has the now Vegas favorite to win the Heisman. Oh, cool. What? And by the way, there is you're right, like the season, but also I think Pavia. I mean, I think Pavia and what he's done is also like, people are like, wow, look at what that guy's done. Look at what you can do at Vanderbilt, all that stuff. It's a pretty big deal. You know, now this is, I doesn't take me long, you know, after like a 5-star or a high 4-star, whatever, commits to a football program to say, just remember, you know, it does not mean like Jared on the YouTube chat's like, well, next year we'll get in with him. Like, calm down, okay? He's going to be a true freshman next year. There's plenty of 5-stars that don't work out. There's plenty of high recruits that don't work out. It just happens. You just don't know when kids get into college and all that stuff, what's going to happen. But it's a massive – so, like, people want to say, well, hey, he's going to be a star right away. You know, we've seen – you can go through the list. I've said this before on the show. Go back 10 years to, you know, if you want to do like the 24/7 composite list, go back 10 years and look at like the top 100, like, or just look at the 5-stars, and you'll realize that you don't know a whole bunch of those names. If you do that in basketball, you'll know almost all of those names, you know, because in basketball, these guys play against each other constantly in AAU. You know who's good exactly. It's the same sport. You get into football, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen. So I'm just, you know, I don't want to throw cold water on this right away, but I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm just taking this water and pouring it on it. Just saying. I think it's a huge moment for the program and a statement for the program. We'll see what happens with the kid.
Can you the 2016 composite rankings for 27 sports? The 2 highest ranked quarterbacks are Shea Patterson and Jacob Eason.
There you go.
There you go for 2016.
Well, that's wild too, because that is actually really wild, because somebody, I don't remember who, but somebody actually told me that this kid's skill set reminds them of Jacob Eason. And of course, Jacob Eason
had an absolute cannon.
Oh, absolutely. No, was it Gentry? I don't know. Also, I think the same person told me that there was a Greg Doyle column when Andrew Luck retired, like, well, just don't worry because Jacob Eason's here. I mean, it's just, like, you just don't know, but certainly it's funny. Like Pavia at his press conference, the last press conference Pavia had the last home game, his senior day, he was asked about Jared Curtis, and he said, like, he's crazy, like he's got like a Mahomes. At that point, Curtis hadn't committed, but it was kind of like everybody had this feel like he was going to,
Yep.
And he was talking about a Mahomes arm. Stafford, I've heard the comparison. I think that might have been Gentry too. Like the cannon arm is, that's what people talk about. I'm very interested to see his skill set, and I know that he has running success too, but his skill set in this offense and then what they do with the offense. Does it look the same? Is it way different? Is he starting right away?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, look, I think if you think that the kid's going to come in and just immediately pick up where Diego Pavia left off, it's like, all right, let's dial it back a little bit. Having said that, it's a huge deal for Vanderbilt. Like, this is, to land this type of recruit, they have never landed a recruit like this. Like, this is big time stuff, and this is program changing stuff. And again, if you're looking for, I think there are going to be probably some intangible impacts of this season that they've had that last for a while now. Like, there's I think over time we're going to look back at this season, and this is probably going to be like, well, this is when we started to look at Vanderbilt football a little bit differently than what we previously did. And of course, I mean, some of that is going to be dependent upon, the success that they have moving forward. But honestly, like with the job that Clark Lee has done, with the recruiting that's going on now, it's hard for me to imagine, even if they're not rolling off 10 wins every year, it's hard for me to imagine now with what they're doing, Joe, that Vanderbilt football is just going to go back into the dumpster. Like, it's difficult for me to get there. So I think we're for a long time going to look at the last 2 years of Vanderbilt football and be like, well, that's where the tide turned as long as Clark Lee is there. And then there are some tangible things. Like, I think the fan base this year, the home games that they've had and the attendance and all those things, it's changed the program there. And obviously the stadium renovations, like, you can see all those things. But to me, like, this is a big deal to get Jared Curtis in here. And again, we'll see if he turns out to be worthy of the hype and if he's as good as everybody thinks he's going to be. But that's a big, I mean, you just beat out Georgia for the #1 quarterback recruit in America. And that's also a sign of the different stage of college football we're in right now.
Yeah.
With NIL and everything that brings with it.
Right. Again, like the recruiting win itself is stunning and is massive. And you're right, there's no way they've had a recruit like this ever. I mean, this is the biggest recruit in school history. And it is. Like, who you beat out for that is, I know that Georgia is, a couple years removed from winning it all. They might win it all this year, by the way. I mean, they actually might have a team that can win it all this year, but that's just, they're as good as it gets. I mean, to me, like the Georgia program and the Ohio State program, probably the two standard setters, right?
Yes,
in the entire
right now,
sport. Yeah. And so that's just no, it's massive. I'm just saying, yeah, there's 5-star players who like redshirt. It does happen sometimes. Typically not. Typically a 5-star player is probably gonna see the field. But Pavia, to your point, 23, 24? Pavia 24?
I think he's 24.
But he's been running this offense, not just for the 2 years at Vanderbilt, but he's been running this offense before that at New Mexico State. He's been running this offense for basically a full college career, And so you have to keep that in mind too.
He's only 23. Let's not give him too much credit. He'll be 24 in a couple months.
That's weird because Tennessee fans tell me he's 30. All Twitter says he's 30.
Wow, Diego Pavia is 45 out there.
He's
Crazy.
actually young compared to a lot of his teammates, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the oldest team, and that's the thing too. It's like, this is a huge win. What is this going to mean in terms of other guys they get? I mean, this is signing week. And are they going to keep the momentum going because obviously the last 2 years, Pavia, it gets all the attention, Stowers, but like even last offseason, like and some of the guys they've had, I mean, Trey Richardson was a big ad, young, the offensive line, both lines. Are they going to keep that going? Are they going to keep the momentum going both in the recruiting high school players and the portal?
By the way, another reminder today of how screwed up the college football calendar is. Today is the beginning of the early signing period. So you've got coaching searches going on, conference championship weekends coming up, and the early signing period all at the same time.
Sure.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Portal open.
Glad we can all do that together.
Yeah.
Just
And,
right at the
and
same
then we'll have the playoff and the portal open at the same time. It'll be awesome.
It's great. It's an awesome system that we got going on right now. By the way, I'm going down the rabbit hole on this 2016 composite ranking quarterback stuff. I mentioned Eason and Shea Patterson. 78th on the list is Jarrett Garantano.
Hey.
175 on the list, Jalen Hurts. It's worked out pretty well for him.
Wow, no kidding. So he's basically 100 spot difference between Garantano and
Jalen Hurts. Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
It's crazy.
My goodness. Yeah, it's just, I mean, there's a lot of draft picks, first round picks that don't work out. But like go back in time to 18 years old. You know how many different ways someone's life can go at that age? I mean, keep that in mind.
It wasn't that long ago that Tennessee fans thought, forget Nico. I mean, Harrison Bailey was going to be the greatest thing ever, right?
I mean, there's a long list. Just
how many snaps did he play in college football in general, much less for Tennessee? Not very many.
He ended up going to.
He was at like
UNLV,
Louisville, and he went all over the place. I think he was at Florida this past year. Back up for Lagway.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work out.
You don't know.
Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Jason in Hendersonville to the program. Jason, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
I think one of the most important things that Vanderbilt has to address is the offensive line. Aren't they a lot of upperclassmen that are leaving? And that's going to really bode towards the success of whatever quarterback, if it's this 5-star, is going to start. I mean, it would, as far as if it was me and I was a 5-star and I was looking at colleges, I'd be really focused on what offensive line am I standing behind and what assurances has the coaching staff, assured me that they're going to make sure that that's going to be probably the strongest point of the offensive side of the ball and the team and overall in general. So, yeah, they got to address that offensive line quick. Build from the inside out. That's at every level of football. Differences in good teams and great teams and championship teams is, can you win in the trenches? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Well, and to that point, Joe, we probably even haven't mentioned this yet as it relates to Vanderbilt, Tennessee over the weekend, because everybody's attention's on Pavia, and deservedly so. But it became pretty clear in the second half that if you watched Vanderbilt's offensive line, they were whipping Tennessee up front. I mean, there's a reason they ran the ball as well as they did in that game.
No, Vanderbilt, this, to me, the first time since I've been watching Vanderbilt football closely that they have in the trenches, I think on both sides, legit SEC talent. And I think with the offensive line, definitely some veterans they added big time. There's actually a little bit more like players who've been in the program who grew into that, but some adds also on defense. But yeah, they were legit in the trenches this year. They are legit in the trenches this year. They have one more game.
They do,
which that'll be interesting, I guess. But the thing is, so now Texas is going to get the Citrus Bowl over Vanderbilt, of course. So they're going to get screwed again. So we'll see. I mean, they'll still, I think, get a good Florida Bowl, which is good. I mean, that's good.
Let Vanderbilt and Tennessee play each other again down there in the Bahamas Bowl or something. Let's just get after it.
Oh, you want a rematch?
Well, Tennessee's moved to 78th best team in America, college football playoff. Just they're lucky to make a bowl game, I guess.
I was going to say, are they eliminated from bowl contention by the committee?
Grief.
Yeah.
Well, they lost to Vanderbilt, so they're no longer bowl eligible. Get them out.
Got scholarship reductions from the committee.
We got more on the Vanderbilt front and some Ole Miss players with some pushback for Lane Kiffin that we'll get into coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Paul Kuharsky from PaulKuharsky.com will be with us later in the program. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Looking forward to that. Lance on the text line says, don't forget about the other recruits Vandy already has coming. Several 4-star studs.
Yeah, they got a good class.
Things are coming up roses for Vanderbilt right now, except for college football playoff.
Yeah.
A lot of Vanderbilt fans also pointing out to Tennessee fans out there that Joey Aguilar is older than Diego Pavia. So
there you
there
go.
is that.
There you go.
Both of them, I believe, older than Cam Ward.
That's right. That's right.
It's a crazy time in the world of college sports. So Lane Kiffin has been spouting a lot of things since he left Ole Miss to go to LSU. I don't know if you watched if you're out there and you watched the entirety of his press conference, his introductory press conference at LSU. Very interesting stuff from Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, very dishonest stuff. I mean, interesting stuff.
Very interesting stuff that he threw out there. But one of the things that he's been pushing in this media blitz that he's been doing is, obviously, I tried to hang around and coach, and all the players in the building wanted me to hang in there and coach. And that's what we told Keith Carter, the Ole Miss athletic director, and he just wouldn't have it. And he's always said, I understand Keith Carter and I understand the position he's in, but he said multiple times that all the players wanted him to hang around and coach. And there are some Ole Miss players taking to Twitter and saying, no, man, that is not what happened in that room, which honestly, when you actually think about it, it's like if you're a player in that room, it's like, oh, so you're leaving us to go to one of our rivals in the middle of our playoff run here? Yeah, screw you, dude. That's probably the reaction I'd have if I was one of those players. So like this idea that all the Ole Miss players in the room are like, Lane, please stay and coach us. Doesn't appear that it's working out that way, according to the Ole Miss players.
Why does it? So multiple guys have taken to Twitter to totally dunk on it, say that's not what happened. Like you wonder, why does he think it's okay to just go lie in front of again the whole national media thing? Well, the national media thought that I should have said no. Kirk Herbstreit and Nick Saban and Booger McFarland, they said you should. There's not another person who did.
Well, that's the thing. He keeps like, you guys in the national media may all thought it was a good idea, but Keith Carter said he's the one that's got to live there. And it's like, well, I don't think very many people are on your side on this one, boss.
It's really wild. And if you saw the reception that Pete Golden got when he got introduced to the team, again, that's not necessarily like that doesn't necessarily mean it's like dunking on Lane, but also it wasn't like a bunch of guys crying because Lane isn't coaching. I mean, the fact that he seriously went to Taylor McGregor on the sideline and he's like, I think this has actually been good for the team. That's galvanized them. Yes, Lane, all your BS actually has been good for your team. You're right. I mean, good
they
job.
did look good in the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, great. You beat Mississippi State's butt. Congratulations. I'm sure it's because of your distractions that the team got even better.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's like a superpower. Now I look forward to all of this. There will be more to come too from the Ole Miss players. And again, speaking of the dishonesty, like you tried to tell people at the press conference again that like you just found out like right before that you weren't going to be coaching the team. I mean, the reports of this power struggle with you and Keith Carter the night before, like they were out all over the place.
Yeah.
Chris Lowe, lots of other people reporting that you were basically screaming at them and threatening things. And then you tried to tell people at a press conference, and then I just found out right before. Dude, like, do you not pay attention to things? Like it's, I don't know. I don't know why I'm letting Lane get me so mad, but it's just really crazy to me that he's this dishonest.
Yeah. And he's living in his own world right now. Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Robby, man, do you remember, like, I don't know, a week ago, all the pundits, all the people, like, Lane's grown up.
Yeah.
He's grown up. He's past this. He's got kids. He wouldn't do it to his kids. Like, it's so good. Like, and as a Tennessee fan, even if it was a year, we always knew, dude. And, like, that's my thing. Like, I always think about him. I'm like, I'm not like he's just a crazy sorry person, which I think he is, but it's just the fact that he has no loyalty, like anywhere in his life. He's just no loyalty to anybody but Lane Kiffin. It's insane to see. So I know as a Tennessee fan, I want you to be able to smile and go, we knew this was going to happen. Like deep down, everybody had to know it was going to happen.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. I mean, I've seen it before. I've seen this happen before. I mean, bottom line is he's a snake. And look, again, I don't blame him for taking the LSU job. I really don't. But there's ways that you can handle it. And just getting up there and lying about everything that's going on is pretty amazing. And I'm glad. Look, I'm good for the Ole Miss players, too, for calling him out on Twitter. It's like, yeah, buddy, that's not what happened in the room.
You think Kiffin was the best LSU could do? You think this was the best hire they could have made?
I mean, he's a pretty darn good coach. Say what you will about him.
Like, will it make a difference?
I think he's going to win there.
Well, he's going to win there, but remember, he also, this is the first time he's had I mean, last year they blew it, but this is the first time he's had a team that's actually going to be in, a playoff. You know what I mean? So I think yes, because I don't know, I mean, who else of achievement could they have gotten? I think he's probably the best. But also, I do think it's a little bit overrated how great he is. I mean, let's see. Well, go ahead. Go to LSU. Win it all then. Because, Les Miles and Ed Orgeron have won it all at LSU. So if you don't, you're going to get the BK treatment, buddy. Can't wait.
Also, I love how a few weeks ago, the Louisiana governor was coming out being like, I can't believe that we end up with these contracts where we pay all this money to the coach. And then they end up with the biggest one they've ever handed out to Lane Kiffin.
And by the way, if he goes for another job, it's like a $7 million. It's it's amazing, man. Actually, I'll tell you, I just had the worst contract ever.
We'll give him all the money.
I apologize.
We'll pay Brian Kelly, and then we'll give Lane Kiffin all the other money that we've got. Amazing stuff.
I think they actually had a couple of days where they were still paying Ed. I don't know. They got 3-4 people on the payroll.
Is Coach O going to end up on Kiffin's staff, or is Coach O going to end up like head coach at Tulane? I think he's pushing for that job right now, according to the reports.
Interesting.
I don't think he's going to get it, but I think he's pushing for it.
I thought he was pushing for the Oregon State job.
He's pushing for literally any job.
Well, he couldn't be a D-line coach and a recruiter for somebody?
Sure.
Do that. You're not going to be anybody's head coach, man. We love you, though. We like you more than Lane.
I mean, it's Tulane. I know they're about to make the college football playoff and all. Is Tulane, are they too big time for Coach O?
Well, I don't know if they're too big time, but I just think that a lot of people look at him and are like, I mean, he's funny.
That's a national championship winning
I
coach.
know, man. I don't
with
know.
maybe the greatest roster in the history of college football.
But that gets counted against him.
I understand, but he got the roster there.
He did. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Put him on a staff, right?
Hey, he was a head coach at Ole Miss before too. It all kind of adds up. It's all kind of following that Coach O path.
That is true.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. A very interesting hypothetical that Rexrode has thrown out there that I want to get Vanderbilt fans' opinions on. Again, we will have PK with us later in the show. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. And boy, there are a lot of things to get into on the Titans front. We will do all that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. This holiday season, 102.5 The Game is looking out for the kiddos. We want to donate a bunch of stuffed toys to the Nashville Children's Alliance to be given to kids this holiday season, but we cannot do it without you. So join us at a Dunkin' location near your neighborhood the week of December the 8th through the 12th to drop off a stuffed toy that a child will love. You can find the locations at thegamenashville.com/toy. Again, thegamenashville.com/toy. We would like to also shout out our friends at the Metro Nashville Police Department for their help with all of this as well. We will have Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us in the second half of the program. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him on the Cam Ward front, on the J.C. Latham front, and a lot more coming up with PK. So looking forward to that. Joe, a question that you've thrown out there that I'm very interested to get Vanderbilt fans' opinions on. Obviously, we're fresh off disappointment last night with the college football playoff rankings. Vanderbilt, number 14, and they're not getting it to the college football playoff. So on the big picture part of this, it looks like the playoff part of it this year is not going to happen. Heisman Trophy, as you mentioned, Diego Pavia is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy for Vanderbilt. So the question you've thrown out there, big picture, what does more for the Vanderbilt football program? Is it an appearance in the college football playoff or Diego Pavia actually winning the Heisman Trophy? What is more beneficial to the program long-term? So, Joe, I ask you that question. What do you think is more beneficial long-term?
And this question, by the way, was stolen by me from a Vanderbilt alum. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, well, first of all, like playoff appearance. I think if you make some kind of a run, like how much more value is each game in a playoff, you know? But I guess if you, first of all, we know they're not going to go to the playoffs. So I guess let's just say it would have been one and done, you know? Vanderbilt would have been, you know, they would have been what the 10 going to the 7, whatever that would be. Maybe it would have been Vanderbilt at, who is the 7 now? Oregon's going to be the 5. Is that what we've determined?
Oregon is the 5. Ole Miss is the 6. Texas A&M is the 7.
Okay, so going to Ole Miss or going to Texas A&M and losing that game. So you have all the build up to that. You have the, you know, that weekend, which is the 19th and 20th when those first games happen. There's a ton that goes with that. But there's also, I mean, to have a guy win a Heisman. Again, first of all, we've already seen like how much of Pavia's success, and even like Pavia has recruited Jared Curtis. He's gone to his practices and befriended him and all that stuff. So Pavia already like has led to this huge quarterback recruit. But actually winning a Heisman at Vanderbilt, what does that signal to? There's a lot of prominent programs out there that do not have a Heisman winner. I mean, you know,
Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah. And, you know, Johnny Major should have won it. Peyton Manning, yeah, that was a great Heisman race. I mean, I could make a case for either of those guys to win it, him and Charles Woodson. But, yeah, that's another question. You know, if you're a Tennessee fan, you're like, wow, Vanderbilt gets a Heisman winner before us. What
First
the hell?
in-state Heisman winner, Vandy right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like the more for the program. A Heisman. Look, when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman at Texas A&M, and this was a great argument when people were trying to still like be like, you know, players shouldn't get any money. I mean, they built like this. They built a separate building to show off the Heisman. You know, like that was to them that was a recruiting. Like this is worth its own building to have this Heisman in it because like come here and you can win a Heisman. I mean, programs use it and it's a big deal. I know we have like this one texture was like the Heisman. Who cares about the Heisman? Well, I mean, I think it's the most talked about individual award in sports, and you know, it's a lot of it has to do with the history. I mean, college football is such an old sport. So, I mean, Vanderbilt will use the heck out of that. Obviously, it's a recruiting tool, but then again, like having that team on display, right, and you know, being able to have one of those games with the platform that these games have. I mean, it's I don't know. My answer is I think it's close enough that I'm not sure.
Well, one texter says, unfortunately, I think you have to be in the playoffs to win the Heisman, not by rule, but by theory. I mean, Travis Hunter won the Heisman last year. It was not in the playoffs. So you don't have to be in the playoffs.
Jaden Daniels just won the Heisman with a 3-loss team.
Yeah.
So that's not true.
People winning the Heisman all the time. They're not in the playoffs. Now, another texter says, Matt says, after the nuts and bolts Vandy just received in the college football playoff, it's naive to think that they'd give the Heisman to Pavia. Well, the college football playoff committee and the Heisman voters are not the same thing. Now, there's probably too many Heisman voters. It's an unbelievable amount of Heisman voters. But just because they didn't make the college football playoff, I mean, if the award, that's what makes conference championship game, particularly Indiana and Ohio State, interesting this weekend, is how much of it is just going to come down to that. Because I would argue, Joe, that barring an incredibly special performance by Mendoza that takes down that Ohio State team and that defense, that it should be Pavia's award. Like we've talked about the Sayin part of this. Like, it's ridiculous to me, frankly, that Sayin is even in the conversation when he's not even the best player on his own team. Mendoza, I think that's a legitimate guy that can win the Heisman Trophy. And if he goes out there this weekend and he just absolutely plays great against Ohio State and they win, okay, well then maybe he's got just as much of an argument as Diego Pavia. But I do think, as we sit here today, and Pavia's got the momentum right now. We'll see if that changes on Conference Championship weekend.
Yeah, no, I think that might be as interesting. I mean, now I guess we have the BYU Texas Tech thing and like Notre Dame and all that, but yeah, but other than that, I think the Heisman is very much a part of it. And I agree. Look, for people who say it's naive, I mean, the Vegas has shifted to, depending on the book you're looking at, either Pavia is the favorite or he's the co-favorite with Mendoza. So yep. It's naive to think that just the playoff thing directly correlates to the Heisman. It's two different things. And I'm with you. I think if Mendoza is awesome and they beat Ohio State, I think Mendoza will win. I think if Ohio State wins, and especially if he's not great, yeah, I think Pavia is going to win it. And again, that's still, it's interesting. Like there's the helmet scouting of Vandy, which we've talked about with the playoff, and there's also like, it's like they get double whammied on people just thinking they're not good. And also they're also an SEC team. So people hate them too, because they're part of the SEC. So it's like both sides of you stink, but stupid SEC, you know. But yeah, look, I think, I think someone mentioned Jeremiah Love. He's on my ballot right now, along with Pavia and Mendoza. I mean, those are my top three. I'm here in Nashville, so you have to keep that in mind. But again, our staff thing went from like, I think no Pavia first places to 5 Pavia first places to 11 Pavia first places in the last 2 weeks. It's just, some of it is like Mendoza, and it's just, they haven't really had they haven't had great games or anything like this lately. You haven't seen, you had the Penn State drive and you thought that might do it for him. But I think it's absolutely there for Pavia to win. Seems like more people saying, Liam says winning the Heisman is better than just going to the playoff and losing the first game. Quick name on the playoff teams from last year. Well, I mean, I think we could name the playoff teams from last year. But, yeah, it certainly resonates. Someone else says, how much did it help Colorado? Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Vanderbilt might be bad next year too. Like Vanderbilt might, be, the freshmen isn't ready. They don't have a great quarterback. They win 4 or 5 games. That's possible. But I would still argue that Colorado has relevance, and it's not just because of the Heisman, but they have relevance that, like, for decades, no one even knew they played college football anymore, right? So there is that. I mean, you still have to do.
They retired 2 jerseys immediately.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, you still have to you have to take advantage of it. Like, you have to do a better job than Dion has done out there. But I think that, like, Travis Hunter winning a Heisman is a big deal.
Yeah.
For Colorado.
No, I think it's a big deal. Jared on the YouTube chat says college football playoff appearance would be more beneficial in his opinion. I'm kind of torn on this one because, particularly for Vanderbilt, one of the things that we've always talked about is, well, it's like impossible to win a national championship at Vanderbilt. Number one, you play in the SEC, and it's just hard to climb that ladder. And two, it's Vanderbilt and the history of that program. So, like, to me, if you're making the college football playoff, if you're Vanderbilt, and obviously they're not going to this year, but who knows moving forward? If you make the college football playoff, well, doesn't that kind of tell you that winning a national championship is possible at Vanderbilt at that point? So that's probably the way that I would lean. I would go college football playoff appearance.
Yeah,
but it's close.
And by the way, I mean, look, that's what sucks about this is I really don't think they would just be like, oh, good for you, pat you on the head, and you're in the playoff. Like, what if they went to Texas A&M? Could they go beat Texas A&M? I think they could. Could they go beat Ole Miss? I think they could. I don't know if they could beat Ohio State or Indiana, but we also don't like those teams. Like, we're about to see them play teams from other leagues, Yeah. That's what stinks is that Vanderbilt actually could have done damage.
Well, I'm interested, like, and maybe it's this weekend in a game that, frankly, for them doesn't really matter all that much. When is the first time this year that Ohio State faces any sort of danger whatsoever? Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just going to roll through everybody. I have no idea. But how do they respond to that when that happens at some point?
Yeah, the Texas game was like, obviously they didn't do much offensively in that game, so like it was
But Arch couldn't complete a forward pass in that game.
Yeah. I mean, that's the closest it's really been, right? I don't think. Michigan got excited for 5 minutes and I was like, oh no, never mind.
Yeah, exactly. So, what is more of a big picture benefit to Vanderbilt? Would it be making the college football playoff or Diego Pavia winning the Heisman Trophy? A lot of your thoughts to get to on that. We'll do that next. Kuharsky with us later in the show, getting into all things Titans. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Tonight, Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on SMU at Memorial Gym with an 8:15 tip-off. Pregame show starting at 7:45 on 102.5 The Game. 94.9 The Fan, your home for Vanderbilt women's basketball this afternoon. Commodores taking on Virginia at Memorial Gym at 4 o'clock. Pregame at 3:45. A lot of basketball coming your way today. We will have Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us on the program in the second half of the program. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Taking your thoughts. Rexrode's thrown the question out there. What's a bigger deal for Vanderbilt big picture? A college football playoff appearance or Diego Pavia winning the Heisman Trophy? What does more for the program's future? I would have to say by the quick count of our text line straw poll, Joe, the Heisman Trophy currently leading the way in the vote. Now, I do wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that it looks like Vanderbilt's not making the college football playoff. So now Vanderbilt's fans are turning their attention to the Heisman Trophy.
Take solace in it. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, but I think there's.
I think it's legitimately really close.
Yeah, I think there's a good case to be made for the. I mean, again, you're going to use like you would use either one, if you're Vanderbilt. But I mean, that day too. You think about that particular day. It's always. I mean, for me, it's all like there's probably going to be some great hoops games, some great hockey games, etc. But it is that in between. I think basically you have the Army-Navy game early in the day, and then you have the Heisman ceremony. For me personally, I mean, for years I would never miss the Heisman ceremony. Like I always watch it. I mean, it's not as much anymore. I guess it kind of depends on interest level of that particular year, but it's one heck of a platform, to have that. For a program. And I mean, even because I want to say, was Mark Ingram the first Heisman winner for Alabama? I think he was.
I believe that he was, yes.
You think about that. That's wild too. But I remember the big deal made by Saban and by Alabama about, having a Heisman winner. You think about Alabama now and it's they've had more since then and all that stuff. But it was a big deal for Alabama. And that's less than 20 years ago. But yes, being able to have your team out there, it's close.
One texter says Heisman for Pavia would be profoundly more impactful. College football playoff appearance would only outweigh its impact if Vandy made a run to the semis or the finals on that front. I mean, I guess the one big thing, and we'll see if he ends up winning the Heisman, but they're already kind of seeing some benefit of it. You mentioned it earlier, right? Like Pavia, the season he had in that offense, in this system, I mean, that's a big part of why Jared Curtis is here. I mean, obviously team success is a big part of why he flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt as well. But you can't tell me individually Pavia, even beyond the personal relationship that those two have, but just what he's done on the field, that opens your eyes. I think if you're one of these quarterbacks that's a high-level high school quarterback and you're saying, well, you can put up numbers in that offense. And, people have talked about maybe the skill set doesn't necessarily translate. Like Pavia and Jared Curtis are not the same type of player. You can make an arm like Jared Curtis. You can work with that in any college football system, I think.
Yeah. I do think you have to, I think you have to have some mobility.
Yeah.
You'd really, really change the, but again, then Vanderbilt will just, they'll just totally change the entire offense.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure that out. But it's got to be a draw. The thing is too, I understand. Again, this is something that would excite Vanderbilt fans in almost every year of the existence of Vanderbilt football. Now it's Citrus Bowl or Outback Bowl. I always forget what they call the Tampa Bowl now. I just will always remember it as the Outback Bowl. They used to serve us blooming onions on the press row. But that's still those games are actually still going to be really well watched. Those games get good ratings, so you still have a game where, especially if they play like they've been playing, and you always have to wonder about opt-outs and all that stuff. But if they have most of what they've got right now and they go out there and thump a good program in tandem with the Heisman, it's not bad.
I think it's the ReliaQuest Bowl, by the way. The ReliaQuest Bowl.
What is ReliaQuest? Is this some sort of tax preparation thing?
Sure.
I mean, how many tax preparation things do we need to have for a bowl game?
I don't know. I mean, there's ReliaQuest. There's a couple games in Tampa. There's the ReliaQuest Bowl, which used to be the Outback
No free
Bowl.
shout outs, but industry leading cybersecurity.
There you go. And there's the Gasparilla Bowl down there, too. They play all kinds of games down there in Tampa.
Oh, it's based out of Tampa. ReliaQuest.
There you go.
So there you go.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I prefer Beef O'Brady.
I mean,
I
at least
prefer
give us
I
Dukes.
prefer Poulon Weed Eaters. Okay, myself.
well, look, I said it when Tennessee lost to Oklahoma. If you're not going to make a college football playoff, that's fine. Go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Let's get to the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Pop-Tart or mayo. I'd prefer Pop-Tart because I wouldn't have to take a mayo bath.
Yeah, for sure.
What's Tennessee going to get?
I don't know. They're going to be like here in the Music City Bowl.
Here's the thing. Like, obviously, the Music City Bowl would absolutely love that, and it totally makes sense in terms of, you have so many Tennessee fans. It's easy. But there's a couple of things with that. First of all, if you're the Music City Bowl, yes, you want Tennessee, but also like when that means I think less tourism probably, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Also, I mean, it's just I think teams from other places could get excited about going to Nashville, even though obviously our weather isn't Florida weather. But like if you're Tennessee, if you're those players and stuff like that, that just can't feel like that great of a reward, right? To just be in your own state a couple hours from where you are.
I mean, one of the ESPN projections has Tennessee in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Iowa. Let's do that again. Let's get another Iowa-Tennessee Bowl matchup.
God. So
Thank God.
That projection has Vanderbilt where?
Let's see here. I don't see them at the moment. This is a long list. There's a whole bunch of different possibilities. So I'll see if I can find them.
This is whose projections?
This is ESPN. I got Schleybaugh doing this one.
Yeah.
He's got Miami and Vanderbilt in the Gator Bowl. There you go.
Wow. See, that's the thing that's interesting is, well, first of all, who knows? Like Reuben Bain's not going to play, right?
I doubt very seriously Carson Beck would play.
See, but is he not playing? I would argue that he should play.
I bet he won't. If it's not a playoff game, I bet he doesn't.
Has Carson Beck, established himself as a first-round quarterback?
I don't know.
I mean, I would advise him to play. But so that's the thing.
Maybe he play a half like Cam Ward did last year.
There you go.
Get that discourse going again.
Oh, God. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. That's an interesting one.
Shouldn't have drafted him. He's a quitter.
Georgia Tech versus Tennessee is also projected for a Gator Bowl. Looks like they had a couple.
They're playing next year.
So, I don't know. Miami.
Let's go ahead and get an early look at the game.
I guess. Yeah. I saw Citrus, Vanderbilt, Michigan, and the Citrus. They would kill Michigan.
The Music City Bowl projections are the two guys or the two people. I don't know if one of them is a male or female, but Nebraska versus Missouri and Nebraska versus LSU.
Nebraska, very popular outcome in Music City Bowl, I guess.
Yeah. They've come here.
They've been here before.
Tennessee beat them in the 16.
Yeah.
I remember that Derek Barnett,
And there's an Illinois versus Vanderbilt projection out there.
That could be a fun game. Again, if the quarterback play. Like Luke Altmaier, to me, you play in the game. Pavia, you play in the game.
Well, Pavia is going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play. But I would say Carson Beck, man. I'd go out there and put any good film I can put out there at this point. But maybe not. Maybe you're right.
615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Got a lot more of your thoughts on the college football front to get into. We will get into the Titans with PK later in the program as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky's offered his vote for our conversation of what means more for Vanderbilt moving forward. He says it's the Heisman, easily.
Interesting. I do wonder if this is a little bit generational. Because PK and I are semi-boomers over here. So maybe like the Heisman is bigger to us than young people. I don't know.
The recruits care more about putting up numbers, I think, right?
I will say, like, I mean, it seems like college football players still really care about the Heisman, right? Like,
sure.
So
they want to put up numbers. So if you can prove that your quarterback can be in the Heisman race, putting up numbers and getting to New York and the whole marketing that comes with that, I think that is very valuable to recruits.
It's also like, but it's like, I guess you could look at it like maybe it's better for like quarterbacks, and running backs, and you know what I mean? People who actually ever win the Heisman. As
the skilled guys,
as opposed to like a playoff. You could look at it that way, maybe.
Yeah.
Playoff is more holistic.
Sure.
Where is Kuharsky?
He's in traffic.
He's texting us excuses about, traffic jam.
He's not supposed to be here till 8
He's
o'clock.
probably woke up. He's probably sitting there watching Craig Nettles highlights at home and forgot.
It's at our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We hadn't made fun of Kuharsky in like a week and a half.
No, I miss it.
Feels good. Let's welcome in Nate to the program. Nate, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. Maybe PK's the reason for the traffic jams because he's texting y'all while driving.
Well, I don't know if he's moving. I don't know what's going on.
Fair point.
But you stole my thunder, Joe. I was going to say that with the college football playoff, it is more holistic. So if you're needing to recruit linemen, special teams, the basically non-Heisman positions, or mostly non-Heisman positions, then it's probably better for the college football playoff with Vandy. But I got a question for Robby.
Okay.
Would you be okay with Beamer going to a bowl game with the chance of him getting hit in the head with the mayo bucket again? And I know you have to win the game to get hit in the head with the mayo bucket to take the bath. But I just wanted your opinion on that, man.
Oh, yeah, I'd be fine with it. I mean, look, I think that's the biggest win of his career is the Mayo Bowl win. So I think he has really enjoyed the Mayo Bowl. So if that keeps him around at South Carolina, getting back to the Mayo Bowl, so be it, baby. Go win it.
You have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Nate.
He's got to be in a hot seat next year, in all seriousness, right?
I mean, I would think so. There's some South Carolina fans that are mystified that he's not fired right now.
The SEC,
not a great year to fire the coach at this point.
Well, the SEC just added 6 new coaches to its roster,
which I guess we probably should have seen coming after they fired no one last year.
They made up for it. But Beamer, who's on the hot seat next year? Beamer. I mean, I guess you say Heupel. It's warmish. I don't even know if I'm ready to
see
go
how it
warm.
Goes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like again, hot seat.
He's
with
not
Danny
ice cold.
White.
I'd put it that way.
Yeah. Who else? Anybody else?
I mean, I'm trying to think in my head. I mean,
it's almost all new in this league.
I mean, look, honestly, tell me what happens from here on out with Alabama in the playoff this year. And if Alabama gets beat in the first round of the playoff and then they don't make it next year, is DeBoer in trouble? I mean, they lost the Florida State game and everybody's ready to run him out of town earlier this year.
Well, speaking of DeBoer, by the way, one big development right now in college football is that Penn State is striking out left and right. And there's some, I don't even know what it would, there's some whispers out there that maybe they're going to go full bore after DeBoer. I don't know. Like, I have no idea what they're going to do.
Why do you think no one wants the Penn State job right now?
I mean, Chesney from James Madison, to me, that made sense. UCLA grabs him. Like, really? They go after Sataki from BYU, which I think would have been a good hire, but he's staying at BYU. I don't know. I mean, Signetti, that was their first thing. And look, I mean, he's gone to Indiana. Indiana's fully supporting him. He's a hero at Indiana, It's really interesting. You wonder if, like, they do try to go after a DeBoer or something like that. Look, Clark Lee just signed his extension, so I'm going to rule him out for that. But, like, would that not be something that they would look at? They've stolen a Vanderbilt coach before.
I mean, I guess at this point you can look at it, but Kind of feels like it's too late for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
the fact that Vanderbilt got him locked up, so I think that door is closed this year. But it's really wild. On this topic, Ed says, "What about players drafted for the program? Isn't that still an attraction?" Absolutely, that's a huge deal. Sending guys to the NFL. Stauer's going to be a high pick this year. There's going to be other guys, and then of course Pavia is a huge. That'll be really fascinating to see what all this does with his NFL draft stock.
Well, Vincent asked if he wins the Heisman, what's to stop him from being a top 10 draft prospect?
Yeah, he won't be that. I mean, look, he won't be that. I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm just telling you, I have talked to NFL personnel people about Pavia.
He's not going in the first round.
No. I don't want to put any. I'm not going to be a Pavia hater in any way. He's amazing. I'd love to see that dude run around an NFL field. I'd love it. But his size and I think he has answered questions about passing the football this year for sure.
Agreed.
He's accurate, man. And it may look a little weird coming out of his hand, but he's accurate. He's a dog. Obviously, like the teams that are going to love to have him. I think he will be drafted. It's still like for me. I mean, I still would probably guess like third day.
I would agree. Now,
I hope I'm wrong.
What you just said, I would. To me, he has been markedly better with his accuracy this year. Like he's gotten way better. Not that he was, just some totally inaccurate quarterback last year, but some of the deep balls he's throwing right now, especially the last two games. I mean, you can't hand them to him any better than he's throwing the ball. So, to me, he's answered a lot of questions. Now, look, people are going to look at his size. My guess is, Joe, he's going to get to the combine, and you're going to look at his numbers, and they're not going to be all that impressive in terms of like the measurables and the testing and all that.
Yeah, he's little.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to run like a 4.3.
No.
It's not like, like the Kyler Murray little.
Right. So, that's not going to help him. Now, again, as we know, there should be limitations on what all that actually means. I mean, Anthony Richardson is an NFL combine darling, and that guy can't throw the ball 6 yards in front of him and complete it. So you would think that would matter at some point. But as we know, it matters every year. By the time the combine rolls around, it's like, wow, look at the hand size on this guy. First round quarterback. Or, wow, look at the hand size on this guy. Not a first round quarterback. So when that stuff comes around, I don't think that's going to go well for Pop.
Right. Comps, people have done comps. I do like the Taysom Hill comp. I think that's a pretty good comp. Obviously, he's huge, but I like that as could he be that kind of player? And I've said Doug Flutie. Someone texted Doug Flutie, and I totally compare him to Doug Flutie. Heisman winner, by the way. And Flutie, CFL gets in the league, and it's like, I mean, Flutie did some stuff in the NFL, man. It's still, you're watching like, who is this little guy just running? But that's a pretty good comparison 40 years later. So, but you know what? Hey, I'm done putting limits on that guy too. I mean, I used to think he needed to be a safety in the NFL, and maybe he can be both.
I'd love to see him get a shot.
Yeah.
Again, I would be absolutely stunned if somebody drafts him this year with the idea that he's going to be their starting quarterback next year. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But I do think he's going to get drafted. He's going to end up on a roster somewhere. And look, people are going to love him on the roster. Like it doesn't take long. Everybody he's around loves him. It's going to happen on an NFL team. Does he ever get an extended shot in the NFL to actually be the guy? That's what I don't know. And I want to see it.
I do too.
But that's what I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm absolutely here for it. And yeah, look, I mean, it's obviously this offense, it's very different from what anybody does in the NFL. Excuse me. You have to keep that in mind too. But the skill set is still pretty freaking good. And the toughness is.
Well, the toughness is great. I would also say, Pavia, to his credit, does not shy away from contact. And I know that he plays in the SEC, and you're taking on some high-level athletes there. I do think, like, trying to play that way in the NFL is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, Josh Allen can do it, and that's That's about it.
I
And
still
don't know
think
if you've-
sometimes he's dumb.
And I don't know if you've seen Josh Allen. He's a lot bigger than Diego Pavia is.
Yeah.
So
Definitely have to adjust that. Yeah, the slide needs to be employed. Here we got a texture who wants him to take him the 7th, and how about a Cam Ward, Diego Pavia?
I mean, why not?
QB room.
I'm cool with it.
Absolutely.
I sometimes forget Brandon Allen's on the team. I would rather have Diego Pavia as my backup for Brandon Allen just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
I'm here
I support
selfishly for my own entertainment. Yeah, get Pavia in there as the backup. That's fine with me.
I mean, Borgonzi's offseason, whatever else he does.
Now, do you talk about
It's an A+.
You talk about like the first pick Cam Ward threw though. Like, get Pavia in there. He wouldn't throw any picks.
Oh God, a Pavia Ward QB controversy. That's what this city needs.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Paul Kuharsky with us later in the program, talking all things Titans. Robby and Rexrode 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
All those Vandy
Thousands of
fans
people.
got up on their walkers and waved their canes. Don't talk to me about that.
Coaches, what had you so frustrated with the referees?
A lot.
Drop trowel. I'm going to stick this in your ass.
I think Joe is sexualizing that.
I married my cousin last year.
You want to fight? You come in here and play your music?
Paul, go find a slogan.
It is time for the Rex Rant, brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. You can check him out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net. We welcome Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com to the program. PK, how are you?
I'm sorry for the traffic. I want to congratulate Joe on adjusting his homerism. He went from Hendon Hooker at 11th to Diego Pavia, third day.
Yep.
Great job.
That's out of hand?
No,
that's
he says
good.
congratulations.
Oh.
You've adjusted.
Oh. So Hendon Hooker was the third day quarterback? That's what you're saying? I mean, we
Well,
know
he's-
now.
I mean, he's out of the league in
Okay.
no time.
When-
So,
where-
yes.
So
He was
what-
a no-day quarterback.
Well, what was he?
But you had him 11. He wasn't 11.
That's true.
It's true.
And the Heisman has far more long-lasting impact. People walk by the Heisman in the building. They don't walk by being 12th in the country.
Yeah, but you said you texted us that no one will remember the playoffs. I mean, that's not true.
It's true.
No, it's
like
not.
the one guy texted.
People
like,
still talk about your stupid Yankees and Bucky farting dent. Okay,
yeah, well, that's winning. That's winning.
okay.
And that's not. There's no guarantee of Vanderbilt winning. If you say a national championship, yeah, then that's bigger than the Heisman. But getting in the playoffs, that guy texted in and you breezed by it. Yeah, you could name everybody in the playoffs last year. Most people cannot. Most people have no idea who was in the first round of the playoffs last year and was out.
But when you're talking,
That doesn't mean anything to people.
well, but when you're talking about, you're talking about impact on people now. So kids are watching the playoff this year, right? I mean, like there's still. Like there's a lot of media, there's a lot of selling a program that goes into being in the
You're talking
dance.
long-term implications was the question, I thought. And that other guy says linemen and those other guys don't care about they want to play with a Heisman Trophy winner. They want to block for a Heisman Trophy winner. That's got huge cachet. And I'm not some old guy I'm not like you. I've never the Heisman Trophy presentation is on. I stumble onto it or whatever. But it's got huge cachet for your school to have a Heisman Trophy winner and that guy to be in Heisman House and all of that stuff is massive.
I mean, Pavia could be
Bobby
pretty
and
nice
those
in the Heisman House
commercials?
Yeah,
Probably those commercials would be pretty good, man.
it'd be pretty good.
Is that the rant?
Pairing with
PK
Tebow?
just saying huge several times?
I don't know. It's your rant.
I mean, if it's big,
Huge
it's big.
starts with an H,
If
dude.
it's big,
Huge.
it's big.
It starts with an H. It doesn't start with a Y.
I'm an efficient speaker.
How is that faster? It's not even faster to say huge.
Much faster.
Can you imagine
Huge. Which was faster?
Well, you don't do it right.
Pavia and Spurrier in the same commercial in there together?
They talk a little trash.
Talk a little
Well, they
trash.
could
Bitch,
talk a little trash.
That's the only
about-
thing I was going for there, bringing up Spurrier. That's my favorite thing Kuharsky's ever done. I love it.
Yeah.
I will say that
Talk about
Vandy
trash
crowd
bags.
when I went to the Kentucky game was a little younger, fewer canes and walkers.
That's
oh,
good.
yeah. Yeah. So what did you think of that, by the way? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I was expecting a close game. Like, who did they play?
Kentucky, right?
Yeah, well, I saw them crush Kentucky.
They played Auburn close.
I was looking more for the Auburn entertainment level, but I mean, it was something to see them just blow them out. It was a fun crowd, given that students were already gone for Thanksgiving.
What do you think of the
The
place?
stadium's pretty cool. The thing is, the guts of it still dictate that, walking up your tunnel to get to your seat is still an event. And, getting in and out of your row is still an event. And if it's going to be like that, you want it to be Wrigley Field or Fenway Park. And so that still isn't bang for the buck, but it's a much better place to watch a game than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
At the time,
This is
I
just a
mean,
nice conversation.
live college football is still just misery to me in terms of the breaks. I mean, all right, we're going into timeout. Now we're going to play Escape by Journey. That's not a song. It's an album.
Oh,
That's
boy.
a great 1981 album, maybe, or I don't know.
I mean, the NFL's
79.
got it down to a science, man. About 3 hours, maybe 3 hours, 15 minutes, then you're out of there. It's all good. College football does not have that down to a science.
They've done some things that are better. They've done the clock now running. They don't stop on the first down throughout the whole game. That's a good thing. They've gotten a little bit better, but yeah, it's
Stoppages are outrageously long.
Yeah, the NFL it's just a science. One way or the other, man. You're going to be out of there in 3 hours.
It's a better packaged product, unquestionable.
Are we basically talking about anything we can to not talk about the god-awful Titans?
No, we want you to
Well, I
do
thought,
your rant.
are you rantless?
Oh, I thought this was
stalling for you
So
to deliver a bad
Well, my
rant.
rant was going to be we already hit on it earlier, and I mean, frankly, like, how many times can I rant about Lane Kiffin? You know, I mean,
Could have been the Titans coach.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so bothered by this, or like it's like you're surprised that he's this level of D-bag. Like, come on. Like, the tweets are always funny, but like none of this should be surprising. And yet I'm just really deeply offended by all of it. But maybe I'll just ask you, PK, your thoughts on Lane Kiffin. There's the rant. Rant about Lane Kiffin.
Well, I'll rant about Nick Saban. I know that all of you out there just think Nick Saban is the greatest thing in the world. Nick Saban's corrupt. Nick Saban fired Lane Kiffin because he couldn't pay enough attention to
He was distracted by
Alabama's national championship. He was distracted by his next job. But in this instance, he thinks that Kiffin could pay enough attention to LSU through potentially a college playoff run for Ole Miss, and he has no problem with the conflict of interest through the whole team. He's just such a weaselly hypocrite, but you all just adore him and just eat out of his hand.
Who's
and
you all?
Anything, everybody,
The general public.
the
The
general
whole world?
public loves Nick Saban. Loves
we
Nick
got
Saban.
Auburn
Oh,
fans
the
who
ball
listen to us. I
coach,
know
the ball
that.
coach, and I can't say enough good things about Nick Saban. And then let me talk about Miss Terry. Oh, he's married and he has a wife, and she speaks to him and tells him things. It's unbelievable. It's just such BS. The way you're hypnotized by him. He's a good football coach who won games. He's not a saint. He's not a prophet.
Well, it's a huge conflict of interest that which again, you and I were texting about this. He doesn't care, but like, I mean, he's on ESPN, and then he's advising Kiffin to go take the LSU job, and then he's advocating on ESPN, like you said, for him to be able to coach. And by the way, they all have the same agent, Jimmy Sexton, and
That's what it comes down to. Yep.
It's ridiculous.
It's pretty bad.
He's
man.
your boy.
Let's quickly welcome in
We
Daryl
love that guy.
to the program on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Daryl, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for taking my call. Just wanted to talk about, everybody's talking about how short Bobby is, and I'm old. My favorite quarterback of all time was Fran Tarkenton, and they got to be about the same height, and that guy threw for almost as many yards as Dan Marino had to break his record.
Yeah, Fran
So, I
Tarkenton
mean-
played in the 70s. The whole league has gotten much bigger. He's not Fran Tarkenton.
I don't mind. I don't hate that comparison.
No, it's a good comparison.
around.
But I think Fran Tarkenton would have a hard time in the league circa 2025.
You think so?
A harder time.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, I don't know if he could escape people to that extent anymore. But Doug Flutie, that's I think I guess Doug Flutie in a way was sort of like the Fran Tarkenton of like 20 years later, right?
I'm not going to participate in this thing like that Pavia is going to be a NFL factor anytime soon, and probably not at all.
We've been talking realistically about it, Paul. If
I know.
You've been listening. Okay.
I know, but that guy is not, and he's going to lend,
All right, put PK on the Diego hater list.
We had somebody ask if Pavia could be a top 10 pick. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of escaping, we can no longer escape the Tennessee Titans. We will get into that coming up next with Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com. We got a lot of things to get into on the Titans front with PK. We will do that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us for the next hour here on the program, talking all things Tennessee Titans. We welcome your questions for PK on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. PK, to quickly recap the Jacksonville game, there have been some bad performances all over the place for the Titans the last few years. That one was up there with any of them that you want to point to in terms of offensive output, in terms of yardage. Just absolutely miserable to watch, all of it. And not very many people were there in the game for all of it. What did you make of what felt like maybe some progress, specifically on the Cam Ward front against Seattle, and then totally just falling back to earth against Jacksonville?
Well, it's not going to be linear, but I mean, to spike downward to that degree, just awful. And they look, it's rare that I'll say a team doesn't feel interested. But that team didn't feel particularly interested to me. There was no energy, no zip, particularly on offense. I mean, the offense is just dead. Who can take this team? The quarterback can't do it. Cam Ward right now is not a I'll take you there caliber guy, given what he's surrounded by. Is there anybody on offense that can lift this team, give it the spark, give it the performance that's going to lead it to something close to a win against a team like Jacksonville? I think the answer is no. Who is that guy? The best players in offensive line, interior offensive linemen. Peter Skoronski can't do that. And who can? There really isn't anybody. And if there was, I'm not confident that the offensive coaching staff could set him up to do it anyway.
It's interesting you said they weren't. I mean, I agree based on the performance. There were some guys pissed off afterward, though. Right? So I don't know. Is it the defense is more interested than the offense right now, and the defense is getting sick of how bad the offense is, or is it Mike McCoy is just grading on other people besides you?
Yeah,
to a large extent.
Well, clearly,
how do you read all that?
I mean, clearly, Mike McCoy hasn't. They're not doing it for Mike McCoy.
No,
they're not. They're not in
do
there.
NFL players do it for a coach?
Well, yeah, sometimes. I mean, when Malarkey took over, it was such a relief from Wisenhunt that they played better for Malarkey. They gave him one big win right out of the gate. They played better the rest of the season for that. Better enough that it wasn't completely unreasonable for him to get the head coaching job. It was lazy for Amy Adams-Strunk to hire him, but it wasn't.
It was actually a good hire.
It wasn't scandalous that he got it. So guys did rally around that to a degree. There's no hint of rallying around Mike McCoy. I think the players feel about Mike McCoy much like the media feels about Mike McCoy. Like, this guy isn't bringing us anything. He hasn't given us anything to latch on to.
So is that what those guys are talking about? Arden Key's like all this weird cryptic.
I don't know about Arden Key's cryptic stuff. It could be something completely minor, but it's certainly what Jeff Simmons is talking about. I mean, guys generally don't look 5 games ahead. And Jeff Simmons, one of his big messages was, hey, I know we've got to get through this season and everything, but when we do, boy, we sure need a coach who can provide some leadership and some culture.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big call out circa 2025 when guys tiptoe around everything and you're super conscious of not insulting anyone.
And even Cam after the game about the fourth down stuff. I mean, he's a rookie quarterback that, frankly, I know he's the number 1 pick, but he's not accomplished anything in the league to this point. And I think in a lot of those situations, you would see the rookie quarterback when asked about, he would defer, right? And he did not. He's like, oh, yeah, I tell him all the time, we need to go for it. Like, I found that pretty interesting, too, on the Cam Ward front of he was not afraid to just outright say, yeah, I talk to Mike all the time about going for it. And I guess we're just never going to do that.
Yeah.
It was 4th and 2. He'd have done it, though.
I mean, at some point, I expect Cam Ward to just put him in a headlock or something. And, just, like he's not a – I don't know. Like, is that more – like, because Cam Ward, like in the future too, he's not going to have any problem coming at a coach or whatever, or is it just like because Mike McCoy is so trampleable. You know what I mean?
Well, on this, I'll say I think McCoy and Holtz have both handled this well. They say we want guys that want to go for it all of the time and be aggressive. It's our job to rein things in and manage the game. We want
our job
players
to coach like it's 1993.
Well, right. But I mean, it's sensible what they say. And McCoy has said, Phillip Rivers on a game day would be akin to that. And then he would come in on Monday and I say,
Dag nabbit!
I see why you I see why you did what you did. That, of course, that was the right thing. I was emotional about it, and you guys were more sensible about it. Now, say what you will about McCoy or whatever. Take McCoy out of it and put a normal coach in there, and it makes sense. Now McCoy saying 4th and 2, we were absolutely going, but you push us back 3 feet, and there was a wall there that we just could never conceivably climb. And look, we're down at the 10-yard line. We'll be back. We'll be back. We're down there all the time. So we take 3 now, and we'll be back. His thing about points, listen to the way, everybody out there, listen to the way he talks about points. He does not differentiate 7 from 3 at all. He just talks about points, like just points. We got points.
Points are points.
We got points are points. And he talks about them all like they're all the same.
Have you ever? You need to directly ask him.
Are you familiar with the difference between 7 and 4?
7. Hold up the signs. Yeah.
The 4 points.
Which one is bigger, 7 or 3?
It's a hopeless thing on the scoring.
5 more weeks of this stuff, PK.
They cannot score. And I'm not, it's pretty funny. Nick Holtz yesterday, asking him about the value of a win and finishing and everything. And he said 34 days, 5 games. We're like,
he knows it. He's got 7 hours, 9 minutes.
Now, I think it turns out that he had just spoken to the offense about, the time they had left to do something of influence. So he had the number that way. It's not necessarily crossing off days on the calendar.
One more day down
in his office, though. Who could blame him or anyone for doing
play
that?
call.
Look, I encourage people to think this way. I wait all year for football season. I like football season. So it's a miserable season, and there will be some relief when it's over. But I still prefer football season to not football season. So I'm not like, I can't wait until I get to February and sit and watch some college film and say, I wonder if they'll draft this guy out of the 300 guys they might draft. That's not fun for me. I know you guys don't like it either.
Oh, it's getting pretty
some
close.
People like
getting
that
pretty close
stuff.
for me.
Oh, I know. Too many people.
The funny thing
wait
is,
till we get the draft season.
In this performance, I actually thought it was probably like one of Tony Pollard's best game, other than, the fumble in the game. But, 10 carries, 60 yards, and he was really good on the first drive. And then they just abandoned him for a while. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you're down 2 scores and the game is what it is.
Well, circumstances, if he's going to be good, it's going to be good on 10 carries, which is what he had here. First drive, he was great. I thought Levin was really doing some good work for Cushenberry at center. But then, they had two third down conversions the whole game. So there really isn't anywhere to give them the ball. Like the game had 4 3-and-outs, 5 punts. It was hard to look at it and say well, they really should be feeding Pollard the ball here, because they weren't in any situations where they sustain it. They just don't sustain any drives ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough, man.
Yeah, it's real rough out there.
It's a toughie, I tell you what.
And now let's go to Cleveland, where I'm sure it's going to be nice and warm.
Yeah, going back to your hometown, right? Weren't you born in Cleveland?
I was just in my homeland, New Jersey, and now I'm going to my birthplace. It's a real sentimental couple weeks for me.
That's very nice. That's very
so.
nice. Yeah, Myles Garrett, he needs 3.5. We determined, right? He needs 3.5.
3.5
to tie the record.
He's at 19.
What's over under for the game? 6?
We did have somebody ask yesterday, will Myles Garrett have more sacks in this game than the Titans have points? Which I think is a fair question.
Well, they had more personal fouls than points in this last game, which is a really rare one. Could you
Wow.
have found the line on that?
Well, hey,
that's amazing.
So
offshore certainly.
So let's talk about that. And, apparently the Jacksonville punter was being mean out there to Titans players. What did you make of I guess just the verbal combat that Jacksonville was throwing the way of the Titans on Sunday?
It's ridiculous. Also, Jeff Simmons kind of excused his personal foul because a guy hurled an insult at him. Like, this stuff is said. I'm sure Jeff says that on a pretty regular basis out there.
Lots of stuff flies out of Jeff's mouth.
Yeah,
when he's pissed at somebody.
There's stuff said out there constantly. It threatened to kill me. I mean, Chestnut didn't get a personal foul or anything, so I give him grace. Like, he got into a shoving match, big deal. But this was a news story that a guy threatened to kill him. I mean, I guess there should be a news story or 4 out of every game, because I'm with Liam Cohn. He says it's like normal trash talk. Yeah, that's normal trash talk. Also, they actually try to kill each other on the field. Like, when the guy's got his elbow on your throat at the bottom of a pile, do you think he's like saying, "Hey, Merry Christmas"?
By the way, didn't Robert Saleh say something like, "I will destroy your entire existence" to Liam Cohen or something like that?
I think he said,
"I will end your life."
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and that's coaches who aren't in pads and helmets.
The Jags piss people off, I guess.
Huh? So, man.
More power to them. I mean, who thought the AFC South was going to get this incredibly interesting at the top? That's going to be a great little fight, of course, with the Titans in a chair over there as an observer.
Hey, guys!
I wonder who they'd like to see win this thing.
Jordan on the YouTube chat says, I set a few rows off the Titans bench on Sunday. When it got to 18-3, my buddy yelled, "Only 5 more field goals, Mike."
That would entail crossing midfield a couple of times.
Stretch that leg out, son. It's time to kick. I have a lot more PK coming up next, including his thoughts on J.C. Latham and where things stand on that front. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us for the rest of the show, talking all things Titans. PK, J.C. Latham, it wasn't like it was some total disaster out there where he was just getting torched every play, but some snaps along the way on Sunday that have been basically what it's been from J.C. Latham, which is very inconsistent and just some bad snaps. And I mentioned this a little bit yesterday. Blake Bedingfield did a really interesting breakdown on Latham at paulkuharsky.com, just about everything that he sees with Latham right now. So I ask you, what are you seeing with Latham? And at this point, I'm not going to go out there and call him a bust or anything, but at this point I will ask, like, how concerned are we right now on the J.C. Latham front that there has not been more progress than we've seen to this point?
I mean, he's trending poorly. That's for sure. A couple games ago, I said, well, let's see him play these last 7 games. Hopefully he finds his footing. Well, a couple games into that, he's not doing it. He doesn't anchor particularly well. There's a run play a game where he just like completely misses his guy who goes into the backfield and kills Pollard or Spears, where you're just like, what is he doing? And he's got like a clock in his head that tells him like, all right, the ball's out or something's happened after 3 seconds, where he might look out over his shoulder to see what happened, but he's not pursuing his guy or doing anything. And his guy is chasing Cam or putting Cam on the ground or pursuing Cam on Cam's rollout. His guy is still very much involved in wreaking havoc on a play, and Latham has stopped. He's stopped playing. He feels like, all right, my guy wasn't involved in the first 3 seconds of that play. I'm good. It doesn't seem to understand, the snap to the whistle kind of thing. And you want an offensive line, and this guy's supposed to be like fierce and mean, which means like you're an annoyance to your guy, like all the way until you're positive the play is over. And he just doesn't do that. So I think he's a lost cause for the remainder of this year. And then, as is the case with some of these guys, it's all about the new staff. And I don't necessarily think it's the new staff having to get through to the guy. I think it's the new staff assessing whether they can get through to the new guy. And I think that's the case with him. I think that's the case with Tavondre Sweat. And that's a big challenge. Are those guys people the new staff can get through to and turn into what they're supposed to be? Or do the Titans have a couple more holes again that are a problem? And they can't have a hole at right tackle again.
Lost cause of this year is ridiculous. That can't happen. I mean, he needs to.
Oh, I agree, but it can't happen. But I think it's gonna happen. I mean, who's getting through to him? How's it changing?
Well, but you know what?
It's on him. I understand.
Yeah, screw getting through to him. Like, figure out that you're like. There's a lot on the line.
I don't feel like he cares.
You don't think he cares?
I don't. I mean, I think he cares to a degree, but I don't think he understands what I'm talking about in terms of playing all the way through, and that this guy, you might push him out wide and feel like he's done, but he's going to recover and continue to pursue, and you're responsible for checking on that. So I don't think he doesn't seem to get that.
Obviously, we've seen these examples of these plays, and they're bad. How frequent? I mean, I can't tell you how frequent is. I mean, that's a loaf, basically, right? Is that chronic? Is that constant? Again, one's bad.
I'll put to you this is what Blake Bedingfield said. I'll read a couple sentences of what he says. It says Latham gave up power rushes, which he's built to handle. He also gave up pressures and tackles for loss in the run game. Latham is becoming a major liability who has lost confidence in himself. And he talks about some of this of just not really hanging in there for the block part of it. So like it's something
that's an easy fix
that's coming up on film that he's seeing.
He sent me video. So he works on his piece Sunday night and he sends me some notes while he's doing it. So he sent me video of a couple plays like the ones we're talking about. And he sent me a note with it. I could send you 10 to 15 of these. His guy makes a tackle from the backside. He hasn't blocked initially. So he's not saying 10 to 15 tackles, but he's saying he could send me 10 to 15 plays that that he doesn't feel like
that's a lot.
He's
yeah. Especially considering the Titans don't have the ball that much.
Right. Like the false starts are bad. I mean, I still think like when it comes down to it, I think the confidence just being a good player, that's what it's about. You know, that's what's the most important thing. That's something that like the rest of this year, you hear this.
But doesn't that kind of add up though?
Is there nobody watching film and pointing these things out? I know Bill Callahan's not here anymore, but my God.
I would certainly think that 2 offensive line coaches are pointing this
they're
out.
Still grading individuals, right?
But doesn't all that kind of add up to why?
Seem like it's getting through.
I mean, it seems like his teammates are calling him out, right? Like, doesn't all that kind of add up to being kind of a root of this problem here?
Yeah, and I'm just saying, yes, for sure. And so it's like just basic. I mean, it's hard for me to believe.
Collect the paycheck.
It's just hard for me to believe this guy, as I think back on the draft process and coming in all this stuff, has become.
It's bad.
Has turned into this. It's hard to buy.
It is hard to fathom. And you certainly hope that they can find something about him.
I mean, if you need a coach, this next coach can reach him. I mean, then
they're screwed.
Exactly,
yeah, they're totally screwed.
If you don't have that drive inside yourself, you're out of this league. This league will chew you up and spit you out.
They may be screwed. But I mean, it's possible.
So you're saying draft attack on the first one? Let's get to the draft. No, I'm just kidding.
There may be, certain kind of coach can relate to a guy in a certain kind of way and get through to him. I agree with you. It's a shame and it's pitiful that that's necessary, right? He should be a 7th pick in the draft, should play well for anybody and understand what the job takes and be progressive. Given that that's not the case, now the next thing is, well, you hope that whoever's coming can find a way to push the right buttons. Shouldn't have to, but it's going to need to.
Is it the button where you hit G and move him to guard?
I sure hope not. I mean, but look, people are talking
big investment in those guards, baby.
People are talking right tackle. People are talking running back. I don't think you can spend value picks on that stuff when you've put other things on hold for as long as you have, starting with edge and receiver. It's a merry-go-round of needs, but some of those things have to move to the front.
Oh, by the way, Myles Garrett's coming up this week. So whether it's Dan Moore or J.C. Latham, have fun with that.
Let's play 6.
No tight ends going out in a route this week.
Yeah. Ali Ugo
no backs.
Got to play. Eligible to hold it. Can you go up to the ref and rub your number and just say, hey, consider me in until I tell you I'm out?
I mean, I have no idea how they're going to block him. People try to block him. It's not like the Titans are like, well, let's just everybody singles him up and the Titans are going to double him. Like, people try to do all this stuff to Myles Garrett. This is terrifying. Like Cam Ward, I'm so scared for him on Sunday. I really am.
Well, you know what? That's something I want to ask BK about too, because we talked a little bit about Cam this last week. And I thought there were obviously some plays where like the coverage was or protection was terrible. No chance. I thought he looked really skittish in the pocket sometimes when the pocket actually was fine, which to me it's like that's one of two things probably, right? Like if there's a big picture seeing ghosts that's going to plague him, that's not good. Or is it? I just know that Hines Allen is going to kill either of my guys. And so I know in the back of my mind, that guy is a problem. And so which is still, you don't want, but that would be more, okay, it's a 1-game thing or whatever, which of course, then you would think you'd probably see that.
It'd be 2-game thing.
Either way. Yeah. You see that this week for sure. But I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was one of the most maybe the most disappointing thing to me about his performance was that I think he's been really good standing in there, and sometimes he's run himself into sacks and stuff, but I just thought he was kind of, anticipating stuff that wasn't happening yet. You don't want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad performance all around from him. People complain like, oh, he's throwing short, like they took the deep out of him. Nobody was open. And again, and Isle Manor comes back and it's just awful. They were out of sync. They couldn't connect. Then the 4th down pass, he drops. I do think he was anticipating pressure like earlier than it got there, but it was getting there.
I mean, the pocket collapsed plenty too.
Yeah, and he didn't do. He had done better the 3 previous weeks, kind of negotiating his way out of that. Running, he only ran once in this game. It just was a mess. And then, I think he's been terrific at kind of talking about it and dealing with it, being therapeutic in the way he's been steady and all of that. In the face of the same issues over and over and over. But then he said, you've got to lose to win, which is nonsensical. And I want to ask him about that. There've been a lot of guys who haven't had to lose to win. Now I understand their
They didn't join
infrastructure,
this team.
right? Their infrastructure and scaffolding have been better, but you don't have to lose to win.
You do here. I think you're taking that. He is absolutely right here. You came to a place that's going to lose. So if you're going to win, you're going to do this first, right?
Take your lumps, kid.
Yeah.
We'll have more with PK coming up next.
Yeah,
Take
leave
your
him alone,
thoughts.
PK.
615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us here on the program. So, Big, I want to get your thoughts on a question that we threw out there yesterday. Take this thing back to the beginning of the year. We all, I think, had reserved expectations for the Titans, right? Like, I mean, people picked them to win, 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, somewhere in that neighborhood. Every now and then you run across somebody crazy that was like, oh, they could beat 8 or 9 games, and Cam Ward's going to take them to playoffs in the first year. But by and large, I think expectations were measured. I think you saw a concerted effort from Borgonzi and Brinker. They never wanted to get into like the win total stuff or competing for the playoffs. All they ever talked
Super
about
Bowl.
was
They're asking about the Super Bowl.
They did. They were asked about that.
Too bad you didn't ask that question, PK. Sitting there on your ass.
Yeah, I did pass on that one.
So, but the only thing they ever really committed to was, we just want to see improvement. That's all they said. So here we are later. They're 1-11. Cam Ward's numbers are on track to be for a number 1 overall pick that is playing as much football as he's going to end up playing here. Some of the worst that we've seen, just in terms of like he's going to end up like he's on pace for 10 touchdown passes and 9 picks right now, which is kind of hard to do in a 17-game NFL season.
9 picks is pretty good.
9 picks, not bad. The 10 touchdown pass is kind of hard to do in the NFL when you're a starting quarterback for a 17-game pace. Yeah. So my question is, like, if you would have told, I think Borgonzi and Brinker had an idea that this team was not good. If you would have told them before the year that it looked this bad, what do you think they would have said? And now that they've seen that, how do you react to that if you're Borgonzi in terms of trying to figure out, boy, we got a lot more work to do around here than maybe I thought heading into all this?
Well, if I'm them, the first big concern I have is Amy. Amy has not been particularly patient lately. Now she's got a coach to hire, so that should occupy her time. But who knows who's whispering in her ear about what? So my first concern is, this is going to take some time. She said she's going to be patient. When's my phone going to ring with her changing her mind about that?
It's a valid concern.
I think people should be concerned that you just said that it's going to occupy her time hiring the coach. I mean, I think most fans would be like, can you please just like send her like a bio of the coach that they just hired? Can you sign this, please?
Yeah. Come in, have a cup of coffee with him for 20 minutes and say, yeah, that's our guy. I'm on board. And then go back to Waller or your horses here or whatever. Look, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees that her being uninvolved in this coaching hire would be the healthiest thing for the franchise. I don't foresee it. But that would be terrific. I mean, Brinker and Borgonzi have to accelerate the pace somehow. They have to free agent shop better than Cody Barton. Right. I don't know who they were bidding against for Cody Barton, who was a journeyman, making, not that much money.
Remember when Ernest Jones was here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's doing okay.
They were scared of the Ernest Jones cost. Borgonzi wasn't involved in this when they shipped him out, but Ernest Jones isn't making that much more money than Cody Barton. And he is a superior player to Cody Barton. That scares me a little bit on personnel judgment, right? And on price estimation. So they've got to really kill it in free agency because there's only so much they can do in the draft. Hopefully they can trade in the draft and get people. Hopefully they get a culture builder coach. There's a lot at stake in the next 6 months for the Tennessee Titans, and Borgonzi hopefully is leading the charge, but we don't even know that much about Borgonzi yet. I mean, I just mentioned Cody Barton. It's not like they hit it out of the park with the free agent class. The draft looks pretty good, but I mean, we were scoring Isle Manor high, and Isle Manor's disappeared into somebody that doesn't look like more than a 4th wide receiver next year now.
Yep.
So,
Oladejo still part of that draft class.
Oladejo, I think could reemerge to play a couple games here, which would be good for him to get some more experience. I wouldn't expect him to come out and ring up a bunch of sacks, but it'd be good for him to go into the offseason off some work.
And Cam Ward also was the first-round pick, by the way.
Yeah,
He was. That's true.
The top pick.
I mean, I still see promise in Cam Ward. I'm not, I think we're all together and not writing him off yet, but he's going to have a hell of an offseason.
But if you're Berganzi, to Robbie's question, I mean, do you think do you think right now, as he looks at things, it's markedly worse than he expected, even going into the season when obviously they were?
I think it has to
muted.
I think he thought it was bad, but certainly it's worse at this stage than he imagined, and I think it has to feel a little bit. I mean, there's got to be nights when he drives home from the facility feeling a little overwhelmed.
Daunting
Don't
is
you
what
think?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a daunting task that's in front of him.
32 jobs. You got to take one, but boy, sometimes
because
they're tough jobs, man.
As I talked about yesterday, a lot of things that we either assumed or expected to happen this year in terms of their growth, J.C. Latham was a big part of that. Well, I don't know. I don't have the first clue about what he's going to be. I'm not feeling good about it right now. Sweat Simmons together up the middle. That was supposed to be a strength. Well, Simmons is a big time strength. Is Sweat what's Sweat doing?
What is
Sweat
he
has
doing?
4 tackles.
Has Sweat done anything?
4 tackles the last 2 weeks. No pressure.
I mean, is he even going to be on the team next year?
Man.
And here we are.
So that's what I'm saying. It's
as
just
a market.
That was the strength.
As a market, you look back, Robinson's things are still hurting them. And then those are Rand's top 2 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, can you get to a point where the last guy isn't killing you? Still a ways off, which is unbelievable. But teams dig out. Like the first full season of Malarkey was a significant turnaround to 9 wins. It happened.
With a right tackle at number 8, with a center signed in the offseason, with an offensive line that they figured a way to turn from awful to pretty good. It's football, right? So we're not doing draft talk. We're not doing Ed's on here like talking about, I'm not going to get into Ed's yelling at you like you got to draft an offensive lineman. But one way or the other, if you don't fix the offensive line, and it could just be Hope Latham, some culture coach in Latham. I mean, I'm not saying write him off, but I'm just saying if the offensive line isn't markedly better, how much better is anything going to be? You can go draft a receiver. They need to do that. How much better is anything going to be if you still are a bottom 10, bottom 5 offensive line?
Well, I'll be devil's advocate here. But say the offensive line is largely what it is. Maybe Slater replaces Zeitler, and you retain some of the depth. Third tackle, Hance comes back healthy. You retain that. I didn't feel terrible about the depth, considering context of the league. But you get a receiver that he could get the ball to quickly, like in the, Burrow Chase kind of thing. A reduced.
Yeah, just get a Jamar Chase.
A reduced level of Burrow Chase. And you have an edge rusher who will occasionally, force a fumble, sack fumble. And you got a corner that'll intercept the ball periodically. I mean, can all those things help alleviate some of the offensive line stuff too?
Well, and how much better? Yes,
little.
it can. How much better does Cam get? Because we talked about this yesterday. The offensive line's bad. Everybody recognizes that. Cam also, on his own, has run himself into a lot of sacks this year. So does he get markedly better at that? And how much does that help?
I also think, using Vandy kind of as an example, Cam's not Pavia by any means in the way he plays. But when Cam, over those 3 games, started running around a little bit more and created a few more plays from running around and then ran 3 or 6 times, I'll take a sack or 2 in exchange for the plays that he's making. So if he can do that more, if they could build more of that into his game, he seems to be pretty good at not getting, I know it only takes 1 play, right? He doesn't feel beat up to me. Maybe there's more of that than is showing up. I don't think that's a part of the reason that he's not playing well. It's not like, oh, that shoulder's really bothering him and he's throwing poorly.
Yeah.
None of that has shown up. Maybe that's just good luck. But I think he can take some sacks in exchange for those plays if they can get him in a place where he's making more of those plays.
That's fine. I don't disagree. But you got to show me the team in this league that's worth a crap that has 2 bad tackles ever.
I mean,
So you
got to a
want
Super
them
Bowl
to
with 2
draft
bad tackles.
you want them to draft an offensive lineman high. I mean,
I'm not saying, I'm not talking about the draft. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like the whole picture for them. I still think the offensive line has to be like, and the problem is free agency is limitations of what it can do for you. But I'm just saying, like, you better know what you're going to get with Latham, or figure him out / sign whatever you can, and then you might be relegated to. Yeah, I think that, especially with Cam, because yes, he runs himself into sacks, all that stuff. I agree, but if you don't give him any sort of security where he feels like he's going to be protected, then I think his play will continue to suffer.
The biggest mystery about this team over the last 2 years, to me, is Bill Callahan. How did Bill Callahan get back? And if he gets hired somewhere next year, which the question is, does he want to work next year? If he wants to work next year, I can't wait to see
Best offensive line in the league. What a guarantee.
Yeah. Does the magic come back?
I mean, Traylon Burks looks like Odell Beckham out there right now.
Does the magic come back for him? And did he mysteriously have 2 years here where it just disappeared? Or was it the beginning of him falling off a cliff?
I have one more segment with PK coming up next. Take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us here on the program. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about the Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders storyline heading into this game?
1.
I figured that may be the case.
If you don't want to be shell-shocked with nonsense about that, paulkuharsky.com is your spot.
Now we're talking.
Are people hitting that hard this week? Is that all the rage?
I think it's floating a little bit under the radar, given the fact that the Titans are as bad as they are.
I'm sure it will come. I think the Myles Garrett stuff is far more interesting and will be probably far more impactful. But look, if Shedeur Sanders beats, if the Browns beat the Titans this weekend, when the Browns beat the Titans this weekend, that doesn't make Shedeur Sanders better than Cam.
It means he should have been the number 1 overall pick. That's it.
There you go.
That's what it means.
Feed the idiots their steak.
Rexrode loved him anyway. He was your guy.
Well, I like him better than Cam Ward. I want it for the record. And I did not like either of them for the number 1 overall pick. So I do want that on the record. I mean,
Shedeur still maintain he should have gone ahead of Cam Ward, despite the fact that the league passed on him for 4+ rounds.
Well, yeah, but we know why that. He completely botched the process. As a player, yeah, his on target throw percentage was actually tremendous, like better than some of the quarterbacks that went high in previous drafts and easily the best of last year's class. And that, to me, is what I value. We'll see if he can, figure out some of the other stuff. But he screwed up the draft process.
I am not nearly as cocky as Rexrode to think that I know better than 32 football teams. And I trust that the league assessed him in a fair way. He screwed up the draft process, yes. But if there's a talented quarterback there, somebody is going to say, well, he screwed up the draft process, but he's a pretty talented quarterback, and I need a talented quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and take him.
Okay.
And they didn't.
Okay, so again, well, that's fine. But you know that draft rankings are all fed also. These guys they're fed by personnel people. I mean, that's anybody who's doing these. Yeah, it's their own evaluation. They watch film. They also talk to a ton of people.
Right. So 32 teams went against their draft rankings for 4 rounds because they didn't like how he handled the process?
Yes.
Wow.
It was that bad.
That's tremendous.
If you think someone's coming in and is going to take a blowtorch to your locker room, then yeah, that matters, dude. You don't think so? So tell me what, as a talent, he was. Just as a talent.
I think he's not as talented as you think.
I think that he was a low first, high second talent. What do you think? Give me a number. Be specific.
I think he's probably a 3rd round talent.
Oh, okay. Well, so now you're that 2 rounds is okay.
Well, it was early in the 5th, right?
Yep.
So,
okay.
Round and a half.
All right.
By the way, his completion percentage right now is 50.8.
Yeah.
Got to come up.
It does have to come up.
Probably will this week.
This guy says he makes all the
throws. Oh no, there's no bad situation with the Cleveland offense. Hey, let me tell you something. I bet you the Titans defense looks okay this week because they're playing the Cleveland offense, which doesn't matter who's at quarterback this year. If you haven't noticed, you're turning me into like a big Shedeur defender. I think he's talented. I think that he could end up being, an effective QB in this league, but we'll see.
I think it. I also think separately of what I think of as a quarterback, I think it's okay for teams to pass on pains in the ass.
Well, right, but you're trying to minimize that as a factor. That is the factor. I mean, the stuff that, we don't need to rehash the whole draft process, but like that's absurd how much he dropped. It's not because people were that far off on his talent.
We'll see in time.
No, it's not. We'll see.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. We'll see. No, but
why is it not? We'll see. He's got to write a resume.
Was Ryan Leaf a talented quarterback or not? Did he have all the tools to be an incredible? Yes, he did. What happened to Ryan Leaf? I guess he had no talent then in the draft process. Come on. Terrible logic on your part. Terrible.
Part of being talented is putting yourself in position to use your talent.
Okay, that's Robby. This is stupid. Tell him
this is going perfectly.
This is absolutely you're just trolling everybody right now.
Is Anthony Richardson talented?
Very.
Okay. Well, I need him to be competent enough to get on the field to show me his talent. Otherwise, his being talented does nothing for my team.
But see, Anthony Richardson, the knock on him was accuracy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's most important at quarterback?
Yeah, accuracy and decision making.
Okay. Great. So
I don't know what you think you just won there.
You made no sense in that entire segment. No sense at all.
PK, thank you.
Have fun rooting for Shador for your life. Don't lock the box. Be sure to lock your lock.
That's going to do it for us today on the program. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.
Joe likes Hendon Hooker.